it's Reija, and welcome to an episode of Yay or Nay. This week we are going to discuss Six of Crows and The Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And first up, let's just dive in to the plot. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are, in my opinion, best read back to back as kind of one cohesive novel, because Six of Crows gets cut off in a huge cliffhanger, which I think kind of makes the whole book suffer a bit. It is best to just consider them as one novel, because you don't really get the full experience in any case without reading this one. What is the plot then? The story is about this group of young kids who are all criminals and have these dark pasts, and they are not very morally upstanding citizens. They are hired to break someone out of prison. As they are doing so, they get caught up into this political upheaval that is ravaging the whole world. I thought the plot was pretty solid. In Six of Crows, I felt that it took its time to actually get going. Like, you spent a lot of time building up to the prison break, and the whole action actually starts only in the second half of the book. So Six of Crows isn't really very fast-paced in my opinion. And in Crooked Kingdom, you really get thrown in to the action right away, because the stakes are much higher than in Six of Crows, and you feel like the characters have to do a lot more in order to stay above the game. So all in all, I think the plot of The Crooked Kingdom was stronger than that of Six of Crows, but that said, none of the plot in this would have happened without the build-up in Six of Crows. So as you can see, you really can't separate the two from each other. Next up, let's talk the pros of these books. And for one thing, I have to say the world building is really solid. I thought that it really shows that Leigh Bardugo has written this same world before, because this feels very polished, very thought out. All the cultures, you can see instantly where their influences are taken, and everything just clicks. The world is very well thought out. And I also have to say that most of the characterization is done really, really well. The characters have very clear motivations, they have very interesting and very detailed backstories, and even though you can't really relate to these characters because they are all criminals and very morally dark grey characters, you can really sympathize with them, because their struggles and their wants and needs are very well written, and you really feel like this author has really thought about these characters and how they would act in certain situations, and none of the characters feel like they are out of character in any part of the books. Now that said, let's move on to the cons, because even though I generally really like these books, they do have cons as well. And my number one gripe is the fact that Leigh Bardugo relies a lot on cliffhangers. Every other chapter in these books, in both of these books, ends in a cliffhanger. And that's why I was not really worried about any of the characters surviving, because why would I be? If you use these cliffhanger moments from start to finish, you don't get the sense that the characters are ever in real danger. Another con I have is smaller, because it has a lot to do with personal preference, but to me, I had a hard time believing some of the characters' reputations because some of the characters were so young. For example, Cass Brecker is, I think, 17 years old in this book, and I had a hard time believing that he would have mastered his criminal reputation in such a short time, considering that he had no safety network and no one to really tell him how things were done, and it just felt really unrealistic to me. Thematically speaking, I found that Inej and Nina were fine, because it made sense for their characters to be younger because of the way their stories were told and what themes their stories were exploring. But for example, Cass Brecker and Matthias were both characters that I really did not find myself believing that they could have led these kinds of lives in the amount of time that they had been around, you know. And last up, I have one little nitpick that really isn't even a con, because I doubt anyone else would really think about this. But to me, it kind of looked like a sore thumb in the middle of this otherwise very well written and very well thought out book series. And that was the antagonist's naming. Pekka Rollins. And it just was, the name was really out of place, because his whole character is otherwise very inspired by kind of like Irish and Scottish setting, but he has a Finno-Ugric name, which is a very common name in Finland, by the way, and I just felt that it was really out of place, and I was wondering, like, there is not a single other character that is named in the same way, and names usually tell a lot about the language that is spoken in that specific area or region, and that's why it was really, like, it was very puzzling to me that this character would have this name. Like, why would he be called Pekka? What is the, like, what kind of language are the Kalis people speaking? Because otherwise they are very well, they are inspired by the Scots and the Irish in, like, in terms of how they look, how their naming schemes go, and how the place names are named. So that really kind of rubbed me in the wrong way. Like, every time I read this character's name, I was trying not to laugh because it was so weird to me. But yeah, as I said, it's a nitpick. Like, it isn't a deal breaker for me, but I just thought it was very funny. I think all in all, I really enjoyed this duology. I enjoyed Crooked Kingdom a lot more than Six of Crows, but I'm leaning on a yay for this book series. Even though I had some gripes, I still think that this book duo is a very well written story. I'm giving it a yay based on the fact that the demographic this book series is aimed at is much more likely to enjoy it to the fullest than I am. Because I think Lies of Loch Lamora was my Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, because as I read this book, I kept thinking about how Lies of Loch Lamora did these similar themes. But yeah, that said, this is a very solid series and I thoroughly recommend it. This has been my episode of Yay or Nay for Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!